Consequence Podcast Network.
This episode brought to you by
Nick
B.
Fun fact about Nick B.
Yeah.
Apocalypto
You got that?
Wow.
Apocalypto was the first DVD he ever owned.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
Really? It's good.
Is it?
What is it?
It's a Mel Brooks movie, right?
It's a Mel.
Oh, Mel Gibson. Sorry, Mel Gibson movie.
That was the last movie Mel
Oh.
Gibson made before he
Hated
from
Mel
grace.
Brooks.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. It was like the Incas or
Yeah,
something.
it was super cool too.
This episode also brought to you by
Rebecca. Hey, Rebecca.
Hey, Rebecca.
Hey.
Damn, I'm gonna have to rewrite my zombie survival plan to include you.
Oh,
That's
okay.
kind.
I mean, it's just like a nice thing
I'm
to
trying
do.
movie-related pickup lines. It gets hard.
That should have been the pickup line.
If you want to make somebody want to save you from the zombie
Ooh,
apocalypse,
yeah.
If you want somebody to sacrifice themselves for your survival,
If you guys want some awesome Disney ears, check out Rebecca's Etsy store at Straight On Tell Disney on Etsy. This episode also brought to you by
Ryan.
Now, Ryan is the person you have to be mean to.
I know. I don't like being mean. Uh-oh, Mikey. So Ryan, in the middle of recording podcast
Yeah.
episodes, texts and takes selfies of herself.
Yeah, it's super annoying.
I know. It makes me
This
feel
is
like
their-
no one is listening to me.
this isn't Ryan's part of the podcast.
It is.
Well, this specific part is not for Ryan.
I think he missed it because he was taking a
I
selfie.
honestly do think you missed us starting the Ryan shout out because you were taking a selfie.
I'm
Welcome to the
I'm not
conversation.
involved in the Ryan shout out.
Oh, you're involved, Mikey.
Ryan requested Jenn.
Ryan has allowed me the pleasure of venting my rage
Oh my god.
At
in a
Mikey.
constructive way.
Yeah, honestly, Ryan, we thank you.
Yeah. We salute you, Ryan.
Welcome back to this week's episode of the Patreonicals.
If you remember last week, Australia was on fire.
Yes, it was.
And to continue with that. Okay, so Russell and Michael fled Australia.
They had to with the koalas.
Yes, and they landed in South Korea.
South Korea. I thought they landed in
they were in
Colombia.
the Yeah, they were in Colombia. They fled by submarine.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. They flew to Colombia and they left by submarine.
Yes.
And they ported in
South Korea.
That makes sense.
Because they have
Okay.
a new plan, which they actually get away with. So what they did was,
Spoiler alert.
hold on, we'll get there.
Okay.
So Russell had the idea of kidnapping a train full of South Korean peoples
Oh.
and tourists.
Okay. That doesn't make it better,
And
but
they're
all
going to
right.
drive the train into North Korea.
Why?
So they do that.
Okay.
So that happens.
Yeah.
And Michael, he picks out one of the random tourists, a guy named Derek,
Oh, no.
Oh,
straps a
no.
bomb to him.
Why?
No, not Derek.
Because their plan was they get the train into North Korea, they ditch the train.
Right. They just jump off of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Derek's like, he had his mouth taped up, you know, like that scene from The Dark Knight. Then they blow up the train
Ugh.
and start World War III. They framed North Korea to blow up the train.
Wait. Okay. So everyone thinks North Korea blew up the train, but it was
Right.
really Russell and Michael.
Right.
Ugh.
So as the nukes are flying overhead,
Wait. It goes from a train blowing up to nukes? There's no middle ground?
it's the domino effect.
Is it the train that blew up or did Derek blow up?
He blew up everyone on the train.
Oh.
But not. He didn't
I'm
mean
sorry,
to.
Derek.
They
No.
strapped a bomb to
Michael
him.
and Russell strapped a bomb
Yeah.
to him. You guys have a lot of questions today.
He's a bystander. Yeah, we do have a lot of questions, Mikey. It's a lot of shit going on real quick.
So as nukes fly overhead, the
Right.
train from Back to the Future Part 3 appears
Oh my God.
in front of Matthew. And Cody Roy gets off and he's like, we got to stop this nuclear war.
Can he
makes
go
sense.
back in time to save Derek?
Yes. So that's what they do. They go back. in
What?
time.
Really?
Derek!
So it's Cody Roy on the train, the time travel train,
Yeah.
right?
And he brings Matthew along with his Mary Poppins umbrella.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And then,
Because, you know.
so they pop out of the future where there's nuclear wars going on
Okay.
in chasing the train going to North Korea.
So it's like the Hogwarts Express and then like a train flying behind it as well.
With
Yeah.
Doc Brown and Marty on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Doc Brown and Marty are Matthew and Cody Roy. Well, this time they see the Back to the Future train.
Right.
Okay.
And Matthew and Russ are like, oh shit, we gotta get out of here.
Right.
So they jump off the train and disappear.
Roll-
Okay.
They
So
make it out.
so the train doesn't blow up.
But it's out of control.
They like slam it to full speed ahead and then jump off the train.
So now it's a runaway train.
It's a runaway train. So then, I don't know if you guys remember Eddie. He was a zoologist.
Yeah.
He had 5 koalas with him on this train because he fled Australia.
I mean, yeah, he's been trying to save koalas.
Yeah, he saved a family of koalas. So he was like, I gotta get off this train.
Yeah.
So he like gets the koala family to cling to him, and he
Aw.
jumps backwards off the train as they cling to his front.
Oh, good.
He's
Okay.
okay.
Are the koalas okay?
Yes.
They like rolled and
All five
nice.
of them are
And
safe.
he took a bad beating,
well, sure.
but he saved the koalas.
He
Got a
took the
back
brunt
beating?
of it. Yeah.
So they get they evacuate all the passengers, but Derek still got the bomb on him.
Oh, no,
Oh, they got the
Derek.
bomb on him. It just hadn't gone off yet.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Sounds like he needs Keanu Reeves.
Derek, they're gonna start World War III if this train blows up in North Korea. And so, like, as they're trying to get off, he pushes them away and blows himself
Oh,
up.
he
What?
sacrifices himself for humanity.
He's a hero.
Derek. Oh.
So the train just blows up in South Korea and no one cares?
Well, Derek died, so Derek's family cared.
and everyone else.
I cared, Mikey.
But the news just said it was like a derailment.
Oh,
one
the
casualty.
government always covering things up.
Derek, we salute you.
Yeah, you're a hero.
Red was there, and he's afraid of trains because he was scarred by the train blowing up.
So did he
Correct.
get off the train though?
He did, but he watched Derek's body blow up. In Derek's final act, he was doing the train whistle.
Oh.
So every time he hears one of those train whistles, it's like a single tear. Russell and Michael fled to their submarine, but they kidnapped one of the koalas.
We'll see what happens next week on the Patreonicals. Now that we're done with this week's episode of the Patreonicals, it is time now for our You Can Get It shout outs.
Yes, it is. Hey, you guys, you truly can get it.
Yeah, thank you
because
guys so
did.
much for supporting at the $25 level. You guys will
Yes.
get your monthly shout out right now.
right now.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah.
So first up on our awesome list is Karoon.
Karoon, hey, Karoon.
Thank you so much for
Staying with us.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. After all we've put you through. And up next we got Ash.
Hey, Ash. Hey, guys, Ash is really awesome on Twitter, so you should make sure you follow her.
Yeah, she's a pretty great follow on Twitter.
She is. And she's delightful. We talk about a lot of horror movie stuff.
Mikey is blushing, but she actually is great on Twitter, guys. So yeah, follow her on Twitter at ANMotes. MOTES.
I'm a slut for breakfast sandwiches.
I mean, aren't we
That's
all?
what it's always been. Yeah. I get it, though. I get it. I was just out in her neck of the woods this past week, and she actually sent me some recommendations for places to eat on Twitter. It was very nice of her.
Oh, good.
And up next is Kayla and Aaron.
Hey, Kayla and Aaron.
Kayla and Aaron.
Yeah, they're very sweet. Kayla was the one that reached out and said she wanted to do the shout out for her husband, and we thought it was just so sweet that we say both of their names.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're super
Aw.
sweet.
Do you think now she's over it and she just wants her time in the spotlight?
Yeah, listen,
probably.
Kayla, if you ever want us, like if maybe it's not a great month for the two of you, just let us know. We can remove
Yeah, let me know.
his name.
Oh, no.
Mikey, okay, I retract that
Right,
offer.
exactly.
I retract that offer. Speaking of happily married people, the next person up on the list is Veronica.
Veronica. Hey,
Yeah.
Veronica.
And she's been with us for a long, long time.
She
Thank you so much,
has.
Veronica. We love and appreciate your support.
Veronica is awesome. She and I were just texting about Letterkenny because I've been watching
That's
that
a great,
show.
and she's from Canada, I believe,
Yeah,
right?
she said she knows some people that work on that show.
Oh, no shit. That's great.
I know.
It is a very funny show. And up next, we have our last one, MTV.
Hey, MTV.
It's EMTVEE.
V-E.
But yeah, MTV is wonderful.
Yeah, even though she killed the radio star, we've
Yes.
forgiven her.
Well,
you know.
I'm personally fine with it. So that's it for our Patreon shoutouts, guys. Thank you so much for being either Burn It Down or You Can Get It levels.
Yes,
and if
thank
you guys
you.
would like your weekly or monthly shoutouts, go to patreon.com/horrorvirgin and sign up for one of our awesome levels there.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. Do you guys hear that coming in the distance?
Uh-oh.
Sounds like a
I don't
train.
hear anything coming in the distance. Oh, the train?
Yeah, that train coming in the distance. Yeah.
Gross.
Oh, wait, no, it's just the theme music.
Oh, all aboard!
I don't know. It's like a sexist place. I don't know. Like, it's
Dude.
What
weird.
did he say about that
I would have
place?
crashed that door.
He was like, it's awesome, isn't it?
Congratulations on your white penis. Welcome to the Horror Virgin, everybody. I'm taking over. I'm Jen.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your horror virgin, Todd, which means I don't like scary movies, and you guys make me watch them. And this week, the listeners made me watch the Snowpiercer 28 Days Later collaboration, Train to Busan. All right. Have you guys seen this movie before?
No.
So none of us have seen it before.
Right.
No.
All right. Well, first impressions. What did you guys think about the movie?
I loved it. It was so much fun and made me cry.
I loved it up until the end, and then I hated
Yeah,
it.
I had some problems with the endings, but I understand why they did that.
I wish I would have done it better.
Yeah.
I mean, you can kind of see it coming, and I wanted
Yeah.
it to be like an epic moment. We'll get there.
I loved it though. That the ending didn't bother me at all.
No, I still think it's a great movie. And everyone said it was much scarier than I think it actually was. Like, I wasn't really scared, and we'll cover that in the scary scale, but
No,
Yeah.
I
it just
agree.
was a good, like, sort of action zombie movie. Sort of in the realm of World War Z,
Yeah.
which is not a great zombie movie, but it's still not super scary.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
was like if World War Z were better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in a foreign language, and I had to read it like it was a book.
I loved it though. It was really intense.
Yeah.
Though. Like
and well acted. Yeah.
mhm.
It's
Yeah,
very good.
not necessarily super scary, but like I was really invested. And
Yeah, me too. Well, let's get to this fucking movie. Let's talk about it.
let's do.
So, Jen, where does it start out? Seriously, what city does it start in? That was driving me crazy the whole time
I
because I know
don't
they're trying to
know.
go to Busan, but where were they starting?
I imagine it's Seoul, South Korea, but I'm not for sure.
That checks out.
I do know that there is an animated prequel to
Yeah,
this
I saw
movie,
that.
and it's called Seoul Station, like
Oh, well, that
spelled
would make
like the
sense.
city. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing. I don't know, and I don't know if it ever really talks about where it is, but it's in a metropolis. It's in a
It
city.
is. That would make sense because he does work in a big city, and what the movie
Right.
starts out with the dad, it's like a big city setting. So that
Seoul
would make
is
sense.
north.
It's close to North Korea. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Busan is in the south, like on the coast almost.
The train is going 186 miles per hour.
Right.
How long? And they said it take them an hour to get to Busan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how
But how big is Korea?
I have no
idea.
This is like the worst SAT question ever. I have
That's
no
true.
idea. Yeah. Well, let's get into this movie, Jen.
So we started a checkpoint.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about all this. Yeah, so we started the checkpoint, and it's like a guy who's complaining about, another quarantine or whatever.
Right, and
You
he
guys
doesn't
better
believe
not
what
kill
they're
my
saying.
pigs again.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and he doesn't believe what they're saying. He's saying there was a leak at some factory, but he doesn't. So we already are setting up this we don't trust the authorities.
Yeah, the government at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
SARS, swine flu, everything was really big in Southeast Asia.
I think they talked about hoof and mouth disease
Yeah.
specifically,
Oh,
but yeah, you're right.
hand and foot, I
Hand
think
and
is
foot.
what they said. Yeah,
Hoof
which
and mouth?
my kid has I mean
Foot and mouth is pretty common.
hoof and mouth is a very particular fetish version of hand, foot, and mouth
furry
disease.
version?
Come at me, furries. Let's do it.
I don't like them. I want to just.
On the record.
I want it on the record.
All right.
What if they were dressed as a koala?
No.
Hang on, Mikey.
No! Don't
on.
do this to my childhood.
All right, so this truck driver is not believing what he's hearing, and his phone's ringing in the side seat, and so he tries to lean over.
Well,
and
he's driving past the checkpoint.
Right,
he's
right,
now
right.
driving away.
Yeah, and but he's distracted driving because he's trying to get to his phone, and then boom, 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 he runs over what we don't see yet, and then he gets out, and it turns out it's a deer.
He's like, oh, thank God.
I know. That's exactly what I would do, too.
Yeah.
Well, we've all run over something, and you're like, I hope that wasn't a child.
Well, I found out last episode that there are no statute of limitations on running over things. So
No, not on
go
manslaughter,
on,
Jen.
Mikey.
Yeah. When he hit that, I was sure it was a zombie.
Yeah, I thought it was too. That he was going to think it was a kid, and
Yeah,
then it turned
yeah.
out to be a kid zombie.
And
yeah.
technically it was a zombie, but it was a zombie deer.
Zombie deer,
Yeah.
man, that's awesome.
It was very, very cool. Mikey did not like how it stood up, though. He's like, those legs would be broken.
Right.
I didn't like that with the whole movie because it's like, if you bone break, it's just physics. It happened to one zombie where his arm couldn't move anymore. But if you fall out of the helicopter and land on your legs, you can stand back up. I don't think so.
It's zombie magic.
I liked it. I thought it was very cool.
I did too.
And the zombie deer looks very, very cool.
I kind of want a zombie deer spin-off sequels like Zombambi.
So the mom doesn't die.
Oh, no, she dies.
Oh, no. And she comes back and wants
Uh-huh.
revenge. That's what it
And
is.
then they take over the hunter camp.
Oh, I love it.
Ooh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so when you see Zombambi stand up, that's when it cuts to something else.
Right. And it cuts to our main character.
Heartless businessman.
I'm just going to level with you. I'm having some hard times with his name.
Yeah, I was worried about that too when they were saying
Yeah.
the names. Like, I'm pretty sure I know the daughter's name is Suan.
Suan,
And I'm so sorry if I butcher any of these names, but the
Yes.
rest of the names I'm afraid I'm going to butcher.
Well, I think his name is Sikwu.
Sikwu?
Well, they don't
Yes.
use the names a lot in the movie either.
No, he's called asshole more than he's called
Yeah.
his real
Right.
name.
Jerk.
And to
Yeah.
be
Dad.
fair, we don't know English characters' names most of the time.
I feel like we do have a long track record of not knowing people's
Exactly.
names.
We know the daughter's name was Suan.
Suan.
Because that's the only name that's said throughout the movie.
Yeah.
So I called him Dad, and the other dad was Prego Dad.
Right.
So we'll see how it goes, but we apologize if we butcher some names, and we would love to hear the correct pronunciations too. So I think the dad's name is Sikwu.
And we pretty much learned that he is a manager at a financial organization and he's sort of an a-hole.
But I did like his arc a little bit.
I did too.
Yeah, he does have a pretty aggressive arc because at the beginning of this movie, and this movie takes place over the course of maybe 24 hours.
No, not even. There's
So
no nighttime.
but I mean, in that amount of time, it goes from he's like a businessman who's like a horrible dude to him sacrificing himself for his daughter. So it's like a pretty huge arc in a very short amount of time.
Then not only that, the villain is like himself. So he has to like confront like
Well,
the worst
old himself,
the
yeah.
worst
Yeah.
parts of himself.
yeah. I did like that element too.
I like
yeah.
that.
But he's still a terrible guy now, and you can tell because he's eating Burger King. And so he's
Nothing wrong with Burger King.
I also want to say there's something wrong with Burger King, although it is gross.
So he's talking about stuff. business stuff. And then his subordinate comes in.
I think he was dicking over some customers. So the
I think
individual
so.
investors called him and he was like, don't sell. Then he calls Mr. Kim in. He's like, sell everything.
Yeah, but I think the purpose is to show that he cares about his profits more than he cares about his customers. And that's kind of something that we see mentioned throughout the movie.
Yeah.
The fund managers put money ahead of everyone else.
Right. I mean, and honestly, that's their job.
Right. And guys, I'm going to link an article. I have found 2 articles that there are a lot of elements to this movie that make really good commentaries on the social structure in South Korea. I don't really feel like I can speak too authoritatively about that. So I'm going to link this article. But if you know a little bit more about that, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, we look at it more of an American lens, which isn't, in this case, too different, which is like hedge fund managers are kind of dicks.
Yeah.
I do understand your point because there are like some social
Yeah, they're
like
just
class
like,
structures maybe that I mean I don't know. I'm guessing.
Right.
Well, I think
But,
there's
yeah.
like elder, like with the women, and then like
Yeah.
how kids act, and
Yeah.
there's cultural things that we didn't understand.
Well, the fact
Right.
that when he goes back to his house and is talking to his daughter or whatever, she's just like, "Hey, I can go on the train by myself. Don't even worry about it." That would never happen in America. You would never let your daughter, who's what, 8?
10, I think.
10? Okay. You would never let your 10-year-old daughter get on a train by herself. All I'm saying is, like, in that area, it's not weird at all to see those little kids on a train. When I was in Japan, Mikey.
oh,
You saw lots of little kids on trains?
you've
No
never
joke.
been to Korea, so I thought we were gonna avoid this.
I saw a lot of little kids on trains going to school and stuff. It was wild. But it's
Interesting.
normal. They're honestly just much safer cultures.
One thing that's interesting is we see so few guns in this movie too, which
We see
stood out
one
to
gun.
me. Yeah, it's the very end, and it's held by a military person. So, anyways, so he's talking on the phone to a woman who find out is the mother of his child, and it sounds like they're getting divorced, although it's a little unclear if they're actually divorced. But he's got her saved in his phone as ex-wife, so I think that's pretty.
I may have
You know.
missaw this, but I thought he was still wearing a wedding ring at the very beginning, and I guess
really?
I may have just misseen it. So don't quote me on that.
This movie's
but-
great, and there's a lot of stuff going on in the background, like the news reports and people checking their
Yes.
phones. There's like a news
Yes.
stories on their phones, but we can't read Korean, so I feel like we missed some of the subtext of the
I think we
movie.
probably
and,
did,
like,
yeah.
Like the wife on the phone, like we can't really tell. Their marriage isn't in a good spot.
It's
No.
not. Yeah.
She moved across the country.
Or
Right.
maybe she's visiting her family. I don't know.
But his daughter is living in his house with his mother. So
Yeah.
the 3 of them are living together.
And I think that's common that the mom would live with the son.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of a cultural thing in South Korea.
I thought it was weird that the daughter was living with the dad, but there wasn't like a clear visitation schedule or anything.
That's why I think, and they don't really answer that, right? I was sort of fine with it. I just sort of got the vibe that they were separated. Maybe her family lived in Busan and she was staying with them until they got divorced or figured it out and got back
Right,
together,
yeah.
right? And the little girl, Sewon, is still in school, so leave her in school until the end of the school year or whatever happens with the divorce or not divorce and then figure it out.
It's not good though, because he gets home and we find out it's her birthday tomorrow.
Yeah, but he gives her his present today.
He does. Why? I think because she's sad. Because when he gets home, she's talking under the covers to the mom.
Yeah.
And it sounds like she doesn't want him to know that she's talking to her mom. I guess they don't have a great relationship. But she's saying she wants to go see the mom tomorrow because it's her birthday, and that's what she wants for her birthday.
Yeah.
But she knows the dad's not going to be able to take her. And so I guess he's trying to cheer her up and say, well, you can't go see your mom on your birthday, but here's your present before your birthday. I'm not going to have anything for you on your birthday, but here you go.
And so she opens it up and it's a we.
Yeah.
And then she just looks over at the one he got her for Children's Day this year. Yeah, I was like, oh, that
I
sucks.
know.
Not a very thoughtful gift.
Well,
No.
probably Assistant Kim got it for her.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't remember.
I'm sure that's who bought this one for her, too.
Well,
Yeah.
exactly.
I think that if Assistant Kim was actually a good assistant, he would have remembered that they already got her a Wii. So who's the real
Exactly.
villain here, guys?
It's almost like Kim was saying, fuck you, this isn't my job.
Yeah.
You'll have to pay for this one. But so she says she wants to go see her mommy in Busan, and he says, well, I'm super busy now. Can we go later?
Can we go next week or
Right,
just
right.
pushing it down the road?
Yeah, and she's like, no, I want to go on my birthday. You always say tomorrow and lie to me. I won't waste your time. I'll just go by myself. And it's just, that's not what you want to hear your
I
child
love
say.
Suan, though.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
she's very like, this is what I want. I'll do it by myself. I don't care if you go.
Right.
Just let me go.
And she's got a good heart.
I think she does.
She
Yeah, she's great.
does. And this actress is amazing.
Yeah, she does
Yeah.
a very good job. I think this movie could have been pretty bad if that role was not perfect.
Exactly.
And she nailed it.
Outacted some of the adult actors.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think honestly the villain in this movie is sort of not great.
In the elderly ladies as well.
Well, they're not super elderly. They're like
We'll get there.
35-year-old. Okay.
It looks like
there.
you're going to a play and like they're
Yeah.
just like, we need you to look old. So they put a gray
Have you
wig
seen
on you.
the TV show Glow?
Yes,
The ladies who dress up as the old ladies.
The tag team.
Yes. That's what these two ladies look like. And honestly, the acting was good.
Yeah,
From then. But it
like-
just was silly to see these like 33-year-old ladies in like gray wigs and like old makeup on.
Okay, so now he's packing for the trip, and his mom is kind of giving him some shade about not throwing his marriage away so quickly. But she's like, "Oh, I'm sure you know what's best, son."
He's not packing for his trip. He goes into his room
Mm-hmm.
and he gets on his laptop and starts to do some work again. And that's when his mom comes in and gives him shit about marriage shouldn't be thrown away that easily. It's something you should fight for. And then she's like, but I'm sure you know best. I was only married to your father for 60 years until he died.
She throws more shade than that. I forgot exactly what she
She
said.
throws some shade on him, yeah.
She goes, I know it's an important time for you at work,
Oh, yeah.
but you missed the recital. It's also an important time for your daughter.
Yeah. You
Mm-hmm. Which
piece of
is
shit.
shade, but it's also true.
It is-
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
honestly, Jen, the best shade is the truest shade.
It's true. And so then she leaves the camcorder of shame. And so he opens it up and he sees his daughter singing at a recital. And she's singing in front of her class and it doesn't sound very good. And she's
No.
not into it. And she stops and then people start laughing. And oh, it just broke my heart.
And then she looks right down the barrel of the camera and you see his reaction to her looking at the camera like, oh, I'm a bad dad.
I know, man. It just made me feel so bad for that little girl, too. And you can hear the grandma saying, no, it's okay, keep
Yeah.
going. Oh, but she's watching that recital and it's just, oh, it breaks my heart.
Oh, yeah, she can't sing.
Yeah.
She actually can sing because
She
at the end
can.
she's singing it very well.
Right,
She
it's-
was just like so sad her dad ghosted her at the recital that she just was not putting her heart and soul into it.
No one said the words "I loved you" in the whole movie.
Oh, I didn't even notice that, but
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
all the dramatic goodbyes.
Yeah, I think it's acted in a way that you can tell that they
Yeah,
love
oh,
the other person.
absolutely.
But you're right. The words are not there. That is interesting. I didn't notice that though. But yeah, that's a good point.
All right, so now it's the next morning, and they're driving, and it's before the sun comes up, and so they're driving, and we're assuming that they're driving to the train, and that he said that he's going to take her because he feels guilty about missing the recital, and it's her birthday, and that's the dad
Yeah,
thing to
stop
do.
being a monster. Yeah.
Exactly. So they're driving, and he's talking to her and giving her shame for not finishing her song. Dad.
Jen's working through some stuff today.
Okay.
And then an ambulance and lots of emergency vehicles just start driving by.
Oh, and they
really
almost
fast.
crash into him. Yeah.
They do, yeah. And he's like, oh, I think something might be happening.
Well, yeah, because you look over at the office building and one of the floors is completely engulfed in flames, which I'm not quite sure why it was just one floor was engulfed in flames.
But I don't know. But we never hear
Yeah,
about
we
that
never find out
anymore.
why.
so-
It could have been unrelated.
Right.
It was me. I left something. I put silverware in the microwave accidentally.
He looks over at the building on fire. He's like, oh, I guess that apartment was haunted.
True, yeah. It's the only explanation. So now they get to the train station and we see basically our cast of characters boarding this train. So we see the captain, we see the two train
captain? The
attendants.
conductor.
The conductor.
I'm not exactly sure about train lingo.
It's conductor.
He's
It's like a
conductor.
symphony. He's the
my
conductor.
favorite
Yeah.
character in the whole film.
He is the best. I love the conductor. You don't
Yeah.
see him a whole lot, but he does above and beyond for this train, man.
I spent the whole movie like wondering what this movie would be like in the Thomas the Tank Engine universe.
Duh.
There's zombies on the ground and they are running towards our speeding train. Now they're in compartment 2. Throw the rich man off. There you
I
go.
love it. Listen,
We watch a lot of Thomas in the South.
that would have been so much better. I did not recognize that tune at all, but I loved it.
It's been stuck in my head for about 5 years.
Nice.
Thomas plowed through hundreds of more zombies.
Yeah.
And was happy to help the 3 passengers still alive.
He was. James and Percy at his side.
But Percy came on fire and
No,
derailed.
not
Derailed.
Percy. Diesel. Diesel probably caught on fire. Diesel 10's the bad guy. All right, so they get to the train station and they're getting on the train and we see the captain who's in front and we see the 2 train attendants, one who has a slightly askew scarf and so the other train attendant helpfully fixes that for her. And
Just tells her what to do and she
But
fixes
makes
it.
it
Yeah.
look a lot worse, which I thought it's my least favorite part of the movie.
it's askew.
That's your least favorite part?
Because it was like, looked like an ascot.
It did.
And
I
it was
thought
like
it was an
evenly
ascot.
distributed. And then he's
Yeah.
like, adjust it. And then it turns it all the way to the right and it looked ridiculous.
No, when you turn it to the right, it's meant to imply how fast the train is because it got blown to the side.
I do like that Mikey is like an old man yelling at kids for like cocking their hat to the side right
Exactly.
now.
Pull up your pants, kid. So we got flight attendants and
Flight attendants? I don't think you know how
I've written
trains
flight
work.
attendants so many times. Train attendants.
Yeah, they're like train attendants.
Right.
They work there. They have blue uniform jacket, right?
All right, and then we've got a baseball team getting on, and there's a girl who says she's the cheerleader, and I think they're together. It's kind of a little hard to
She's
tell.
definitely with the team. Like I
Yeah.
got the impression that they may have been like a school team.
Yeah, I think
like
so.
a high school age school team, and she was wearing one of the jackets from the school. So,
And I think
or what
she
I thought was a
likes.
school.
I called him shy baseball guy.
Yeah, I called him shy baseball guy.
Yeah.
And it seems like they're a little bit together.
It seems like they're really, really close friends, but there really isn't like any sexual tension between them. They're
No,
just
because
very
she
good
sits
friends.
down and was like, I have a thing for you and you're going to have to deal with it. And the other guys started like making fun of
Accept
him.
her, accept
Yeah.
her. It
But
was a little weird.
but he's too shy.
Which I
Yeah.
think probably doesn't translate to accept her.
I think it was definitely have sex with her. That's definitely what it is. If you were wondering, Mikey, that's probably what it translates to. Nobody fact check me.
Well, okay, so when I was doing some of this research, one of the things I found is that basically the only way to do, it's really important to marry well in this society. And so young love is almost more of like a family obligation because if you marry well, that person can help the rest of the family.
Yeah.
So I think there's a little bit of that dynamic that I just don't totally understand.
So you think he may have been like a rich kid and she was into him because he came from family money?
Or maybe like they're kind of
I don't know,
being
like-
set up, but I don't know.
read that. I read that she had a huge crush on him. He liked her but was shy
Yeah.
That's the way I read it too.
because
Right.
they generally care about each other.
Or
a
maybe
lot.
he wasn't super into girls, but he loved her. Like I feel like he had like they were really, really good friends, regardless of whether he was into women or just super shy.
He could just
Right.
be sensitive to us.
Yeah, he could just be super shy. But
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong if you get the impression that he's gay. I don't think there's anything wrong with
no.
him being like a gay character. It's just not really talked about.
But they are basically together for the rest of the
Yeah,
movie through
they-
this
I mean,
point.
in my mind, they may as well have been boyfriend and girlfriend at this point.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. And then we also see two old sisters eating an egg.
And those are the two old sisters that could also be tag teaming in Glow season 2 and 3.
And so now we have the father and daughter get on,
Yes.
and he finds out that there's a situation report at work and something's going on, but we don't find out too much about that.
Yeah, just Kim calls him and says, hey, there's something going on. And he's like, cool, give me a situation report. I should be back before lunch. Because it really
Right.
is just an hour to Busan, an hour back,
Right.
and he's going to go back to work.
And then we also see a sick woman get on the train right before it takes off. And I don't think
Yeah.
anybody else sees this happen, but she's on the train and it leaves.
Yeah, she like seriously like hobbles on the train and then
like,
just like
"Ah."
sort of lays down in the section like right in between cars.
Yeah, and we start to see a couple of other weird things happening, like the conductor's looking up the hallway and seeing a bunch of people filming something we can't see.
Yeah.
And then Sewol sees somebody get jumped as the train starts to take off, that we don't really see what's going on.
Yeah, as they pull away, you see like Suwon's looking out the window and everyone else is just like looking forward or whatever, and she sees someone get jumped on right there.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's when I was like, oh shit.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
it's
she
about
turns to her dad, father of the year, who's already asleep. Like,
Yeah.
All right.
Don't bother me.
It's early in his defense, but yeah, you should stay awake.
and mind your child who's about to go
True.
wandering down an
At
infected
least
train.
wait for the train to start.
Yeah.
So the injured girl is in the bathroom and there's like some black vein stuff in her leg and she's trying to make a tourniquet and she's saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, the tourniquet is the reason she doesn't turn immediately.
Right.
Because she walks through a car full of people
Mm-hmm.
on like making these weird sounds and like just like stumbling down the hallway, and she's just they're not even noticing her.
Right. Well, she flops down that corridor.
Yeah.
She falls at the end.
Yeah.
She thriller-esque pop and locks a little bit too.
Dude, when she turns and the way she stands up, the zombies in this movie do an amazing job.
Okay, so now we find Mr. Rich Evil Man, and he says there's someone in the bathroom, and I thought for a minute it was going to be the injured
You think it's
woman.
the girl, yeah.
Right, but it's not. It's somebody who's experiencing homelessness, and I don't know if we ever find out his name.
Mister.
Yeah, his name is Homeless Man. That's what his character is
He's
credited
billed as that? Okay.
Yes, he is experiencing homelessness, and that's the way we like to refer to him, but the movie actually credits him as Homeless Man.
But anyway, so the rich COO of whatever corporation it is takes a train attendant to the bathroom where the homeless man, as he's billed, is. But also, Sewol is like looking for a bathroom.
Right.
And on her way, she runs into the Mikey allegory in this movie.
I called him Weird Dad for a while.
Yeah,
This is-
the husband of the pregnant lady, right?
He looks like me, acts like me, and talks like me.
And I think both of you would punch zombies if given the chance. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I am alone.
So, like, if Mikey had achieved all of the things that he wanted to achieve, they would be the same place.
Yeah.
He's the Mikey once Mikey gets an adventure jacket.
Oh, Mikey, that's what you're doing
Sneak
wrong.
That
adventure
blazer
jacket.
is blazing.
It is. It is a blazon.
It is an adventure coat.
You and I need like leather jackets that just say adventure jacket on the back. So the husband of the pregnant lady is like outside and like making sure no one goes into the bathroom where she's there.
Yeah.
And so he tells Sewol to go to the next one down.
So the father wakes up because he got a call from work saying there's a big situation now and it's nationwide. And the train attendants, they found the lady who was flopping around.
Well, yeah, the lady train attendant did.
Yeah.
And she was like calling for a medical alert. And then while she's doing this, that lady does a really eerie stand up behind her.
Yeah,
And then
man.
jumps on her and starts like attacking her.
I called her not quite a zombie for a little bit, and then I called her definitely now a zombie.
Yes, that's absolutely what happened. That is her story arc for sure.
But it's awesome. So they're all watching this chaos on the news, and the old sisters are saying, oh, people will riot over everything.
Back in the day, you'd get re-educated for that. Yeah.
I hate school, so I'd hate to go back.
That's not what they're talking about, Mikey.
That's definitely what they're talking about.
I'm going to refer you to just history in general.
And so train attendants got her back to not quite a zombie yet. And then she sits and like stands up behind her, and it's so cool. And daughter is still wandering around trying to find the bathroom.
Yeah.
And now zombie, who's definitely a zombie now, is attacking the train attendant. And she like on her back down into the middle of the aisle. And you can't quite tell what's going on yet until she like knocks her down and chews the fuck out of her neck.
And like rips up, and you see like just blood and like
zombie
neck parts going everywhere.
Oh, no one likes a hickey.
And then
And like 5 seconds later, she's a zombie who starts attacking other people.
well, yeah, and this is when the baseball players a lot of them get turned here.
Right. Because it's just zombie madness now. Everybody's attacking everyone else.
They turn quick. They're like 28 days later, like you said. But also, I think the zombies get up when they fall down. They get up like insects who fall down. They like flip up and do weird stuff with their legs.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's what I mean. Like they hired either dancers or athletes to do these zombie parts.
Yeah, it's like circus. Oh no!
But so the daughter and the dad are both seeing people running down the train, and they both kind of keep missing each other. And then he sees her and he picks her up, and she's got her face because he's running away from the zombies and he's picking her up. She's looking at the zombies coming forward and forward and forward, and it's so many. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
insane.
super intense. Yeah.
I didn't watch the trailer, but I've heard good things about this movie. I thought the movie would be like most of the people in the train were alive, and they're like dealing with the zombie apocalypse. I didn't think in the beginning of the movie the zombies would be on the train.
Yeah, and it starts with them on the train. Like there is no time
Right.
period where everyone on the train is safe.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
This is when the wife comes out of the bathroom when we realize that they're together and she's pregnant.
Yeah, he has
Yes.
a pregnant wife.
Yeah.
And they haven't named their baby because she's saying that the baby inside her's name is Sleepy
Yeah.
for now because the Mikey dad, who is lazy, has yet to name their baby.
It's an important decision. You're not lazy.
It's not one to be rushed into.
Right.
Hun.
Anyways, so and so the dad, they're all starting to run.
Really, it is they're running for their lives and
Right.
trying to close the doors behind them because the zombies are about to get them.
But we learn at this point that this movie's going to focus on pregnant lady, Mikey equivalent,
Yeah.
businessman dad,
Sewol.
homeless guy, and that's like
And rich man.
rich man.
Rich
And
man
those are your
terrible.
like main characters.
Well, yeah,
Right.
and the
baseball
cheerleader
couple.
and baseball
yeah,
couple.
baseball.
Yeah.
Cheerleader and baseball couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are our cast of characters,
Right.
everybody. We've landed on some nicknames. All right, but so as Prego Dad is who I kept calling him. So as he's trying to fight the zombies off, Seakwoo and Sewon kind of
Seakwoo?
that's Evil Dad.
Sorry.
Yeah. Businessman dad. They kind of sneak past, and so they get ahead of this couple, and they're in
Oh,
the train to
yeah.
safety. And then he shuts the door right on the pregnant lady.
Yes.
And I think the daughter sees, and she goes up and opens the door and lets them in, and then they close it just in time.
The dad changes his mind and opens the door again, but it's only when the Mikey equivalent makes it to the door.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What the fuck, dude?"
Yeah, they close the door, and it's like the zombies don't open. They don't know how to open the door. And
Right,
the zombies are all banging on the train. It's like the separation.
They're like smashing their face into the, I guess, plexiglass or plastic,
right,
but
they don't know how to
door.
open the door.
Right. And they
Right.
can't figure out how to lock it, but they're like, just let it go. I don't think they know how. Wow.
And then
So they
my
can let it
equivalent
go.
was like, I think you owe me an apology, bro. That was kind of a dick move.
Yeah.
But not after Prego is a genius and just squirts some water and some newspaper on that door.
Yeah, she peppy out of mache's the door closed.
Which I like this part because the zombies immediately go docile.
Yeah.
So they're like very animal. Like if they don't see you, you don't exist.
Right.
Right.
Instead of like knowing there's someone behind the door. If they can't see you, it's just not there.
I think this was my favorite version of zombies that we've seen so
I think
far.
so too. They seem to have clear logic for how you
Yes.
could hack them.
Yeah.
You know? So, like you were saying, pregnant dad was like, dude, you owe me an apology now. You shut the door on my pregnant face.
I want to say that this is not Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh.
This is a
Jeez.
man whose wife is pregnant that she
Yeah.
keeps calling pregnant dad.
But there were two dads, and this is how I differentiated between them.
right.
'Cause
Just
I
say
couldn't-
Mikey dad.
Well, yeah,
Mikey
because he's
Dad.
like a stocky dude.
Yeah,
and
he's a stocky dude.
dresses well and
Anyways, so Mikey Dad says maybe I should feed you to the zombies. Okay, so now they're watching the news and they're
Right.
saying we're no longer going to be stopping at the next stop. And the rich man gets really mad about that. Then we get a call from Dad's mother, who's Sewon's grandmother.
Yeah, with
And-
the lady we met in his apartment.
Right.
Yeah.
And she's breathing really weird and she's asking him to please take care of Sewon. And then she turns a little mean and she says, I love her so much, but she only wants her mom, that bitch.
Yeah.
And then she zombie sounds and hangs up.
I thought it was very nice for the zombie to hang up so he didn't have to hear her being a zombie.
Right.
I thought this phone call was the mom.
But he answers it and he says, Mom.
Yeah, and
he says,
then,
Hi, Mom.
And then when he hangs up, or I guess his mother hangs up, Sewon says, "Is Granny okay?"
Yes.
Okay. Well, this makes more sense. And the mom could be alive. It's all good.
Yeah, see?
We actually don't know if the mom's still alive, but she is
don't.
in Busan, and Busan is where they're
Busan
heading
is
because
safe.
that's safe, right? So
Yeah.
I think the
Right.
assumption is that she is alive.
Okay, that's great. That makes me happy. Good
So they pass by a station that they're not going to stop at, and we see like regular people starting to run up to the glass and like start to beat
Like,
on
let
the
us on, let
glass.
us on, let us on, let us on.
And then immediately get eaten by zombies.
Yeah.
And it's really rough.
Well, you say eaten by zombies, but the zombies don't eat you. They bite you until you turn, then they leave you alone, which I sort of liked.
They don't like
news.
devour
Yeah, they don't, like,
each other.
devour you. Yeah.
I think they're snackers.
Yeah.
You know,
They
don't
like
want
to
a full meal.
graze.
Mhm.
Yeah. That makes sense.
All right, so now we're seeing chaos and car crashes on the road, and we're seeing zombies walking through aisles. So we're kind of seeing the scope of this devastation. We hear news voiceovers that there are riots and that they're shutting down key districts, and it's a state of emergency.
Yeah.
And then we see some videos that are awesome, like
Dude.
people falling from the sky and then
Well, it
immediately
was
getting up.
helicopters. You see this kid do like this sick little skateboard trick, and then you see helicopters with zombies hanging on them, zombies falling off, and like, it's raining men. Hallelujah, it's raining men. Wait, they're
They're
zombies. And then,
Yes.
and then those zombies stand up after falling, I don't know, 40 feet. And then just
Yeah.
attack these kids who should be in school. So these kids are like filming themselves doing skateboard tricks, hoping to become famous doing skateboard tricks. And then these zombies rain down from the sky, and they actually do end up going viral.
You mean they get infected by the zombie
Yes.
virus?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. It's not the way they wanted it. Though.
And
No.
their video
Not
goes
like
viral.
this.
He's doggies like, share, comment.
Worth it. But one of the things they're saying is, to the best of our knowledge, your safety is not in jeopardy.
That's what the news people are saying, because
Right.
the news people are shills for the government. But it's cool because the juxtaposition of the news saying that and then you seeing what is actually going on around them is awesome.
I actually really like this scene because the phone service never goes out in the film.
Right.
So they're like on Reddit or whatever. They're like, oh my God, it's a zombie apocalypse.
Right.
They're like, search keyword zombie.
Yeah.
Then they're all on their phones like looking at it and they're like, oh my God.
Yeah, like it literally is the president, like, guys, don't worry about it. Everyone calm down. And like they look on the phones and the phones are like, we're fucked. Everyone's dead. It's awesome. Yeah.
The Instagram stories were very depressing.
But one of the things the news is saying is, don't listen to unfounded rumors. So
that's how they
Yeah,
get you.
that's what they would say.
Yeah.
exactly.
Because they're the government.
Now we're on the train and they're having a moment of safety. So they're kind of relaxing and kind of getting a little more comfortable with each other. This is when we have the conversation about what they're going to name the baby. And Sewon gives up her seat to one of the elderly sisters so they can
Right.
sit together.
And this is when the dad and Sewon are like having this conversation, and the dad's like a real shitbag saying,
Right.
in situations like this, only look out for yourself. When he said that to her, I said, man, I bet that's why she left.
That's what
I bet that's why his wife left. And Sewon literally goes, you're not a great guy.
Right.
This is why mom left. I was like, oh, damn. Like, well done. All right, cool.
Well, and while he's away, the pregnant dad, Mikey dad, is talking to her and is like, your dad's a fund manager, right? A bloodsucker. And
Yeah.
she was like, yeah, I know. Everybody because the wife is like, don't say that in front. That's her dad.
And she's like, no,
nah,
I get it.
I get it.
He's a horrible dude.
Your dad's kind of a dick, right? And she's like, yeah, I know. We don't have to talk about it. It was actually really sweet because I think there's no prouder moment as like a father when like if your kid gave up a seat for the elderly, I'd be like, oh wow, I have a good kid.
Yeah,
Right.
like I don't know how that happened, but they turned out all right. Despite me.
And he grabs her and he's like, in this situation, only look out for yourself. You did not need to give your seat up to that elderly lady who's actually 33 with a gray wig on.
Right.
She's not even old. But this is what I was kind of reading about how the social hierarchy is like really complex and ruthless. And so, I mean, you could look at it as he's trying to teach her how to protect herself in this world. I'm not saying it's right, but he could be saying you've got to take care of yourself because you can't depend on anybody else to take care of you. And I think the moral of the story is that he kind of overcomes that thinking. But I think in saying that, he thinks he's protecting his daughter. So, but he's calling his partner and he's saying, he's like trying to figure out what's going on. And they're saying, if you get off at the next stop, which is where the conductor just told them they were going to get off, you're going to be in quarantine. And so he's saying, okay, well, we don't want to be in quarantine. Can you send somebody to go get him? And so the partner's saying, okay, don't go to the main square, go to the east square.
Yeah.
And so the homeless man overhears this conversation too.
They all just call him Mr.
Yeah, I think they call him Mr. Maybe we'll call him that. Okay, and so now they're getting to the next stop, and it looks like they're deserted. And so they're all getting off and kind of shuffling along, and they're going to the main square. So everybody's getting off.
Also, this is where everybody deserves to die.
Aw.
Lots of bad decisions were made.
That is true.
In this sequence.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think sometimes you can kind of give them a little grace of like, I just don't know what to do. I'm in a moment of safety,
If it's us three are stuck somewhere and we were just got off a mass transit device where actual zombies were there, we have 100% evidence that they're zombies. I'd be like, I don't know if we should just walk like this. We should be really cautious and careful and move very slow. And let's go up, get a lay of the land.
Yeah, that's one thing I would have done too, is get as high as you can and look around you in all directions.
Or
and see if
there's
it's
no
safe.
one here, so this is a bad sign.
Well, especially because you don't see any military coming to get them.
Right.
Well,
too.
and they were told the military was there protecting that station, and then there's no one there to meet you.
Right.
We're going to roll on through, dog.
And the scene gives it, there's a bad feeling in the scene from the jump.
Right. And they were walking past the train car with all of the zombies in there, just kind of smashing against the glass. And it's really eerie. And so now the daughter is doing what we were saying. He's taking her a different way. So he's like, we're going to go to that east square and people are going to pick us up. And she wants to go tell everybody else.
Right.
And he's like, no, you can't do that. We got to get away by ourselves because then other people will try to take the safety that I think that we've got a plan for. But he sees Mr. down the corridor and Mr. is following them. And he overheard and he says, I'm going that way too. I don't want to go into quarantine.
Yeah, because he
says,
overheard that phone call.
Yeah, and she wants to go tell everyone else, but and this is when she says that he only wants to take care of himself, and that's why Mom.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, you start to see both parties or both groups of people see what happened to the military people who were guarding the station. So the train passengers who are going down the escalators down to the ground level see all of the zombies who are now military personnel attacking them.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you see Mr. and the main character dad and Sewol see one soldier who is not turned, but he's like, help me, help me, help me. And then this zombie just jumps on him. Ugh. And then they all start running back to the train.
Right. Well, and the escalator is going down into this horde of zombies chasing them. It's terrifying.
Well, yeah, and Mikey dad grabs his pregnant wife and not tosses her, but picks her up and puts her over the escalator onto the regular stairs.
He's like, we gotta get out of here.
Yeah, that's exactly what you should do. Those who did not jump onto the stairs get just meat cleavered into zombies. Yeah.
Oh, it's like a conveyor belt into zombies.
But if I was there, I would
Exactly.
have waited for them to go down the escalators before I went down the escalators.
Well, I wouldn't go on an escalator.
No, please.
Oh, it's terrible. And everybody's getting swarmed and everyone's getting attacked. And Mikey dad is getting attacked and Sewol's dad is getting attacked. He's trying to run and get his daughter, but you just see her standing there staring at her dad and all of these zombies coming up behind her. And it's just, she just looks so small and vulnerable.
I thought that was
at
the most
moment.
intense scene probably.
It was one of them, yeah.
One of the top.
That may have been the time I was the most scared.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right before she gets devoured by one of the zombies, Mikey dad punches that zombie in the face
Yes.
and just knocks it the fuck out. It's amazing.
Well, and so that couple kind of take her with them and they just run
Yeah.
to safety.
Yeah.
And father is getting attacked by a zombie and he books him in the mouth.
He finds the only good purpose for a book and shoves it in the zombie's mouth and then gets him off of him, I guess.
Yeah, he somehow kind of fights his way out. And then the Mikey dad is like at the door about to close it, and he's like, hey, asshole, come on.
Well, he's given the opportunity to do what Sewon's father did to him earlier, but does not do it. He leaves the door open and lets father of Sewon to come through, and then they close it, and they're trying to like lock it the whole time. Right. And this is when they separate. This is when the daughter and the pregnant lady separate from Mikey dad and Sewon's father.
And baseball guy.
Baseball boy
and
is
baseball
right
guy
here.
is with father and Mikey dad.
And so in little chunks, they start getting onto the plane in little groups at various points. Yeah, because the train is now, it's not moving yet, but they're getting back on.
Like, all aboard, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
The conductor's amazing. The conductor honestly should have left 5 minutes ago, but he stays literally until like the last second.
Right.
He's amazing. I love the conductor in this movie.
Well, and the rich evil man is trying to get him to go already, and he's like, no, there are still people there. There's still people there. But then he does start to move it because I think he kind of bends to the pressure of this rich dude.
Well, and also when you see a shitload of zombies running at you, you're going to do your best to get away from them and save yourself. But anyway, so they get back on the train. So the pregnant lady and Sewon get back on the train. Are they with the
elderly women?
The sisters.
They are with the sisters. You're right. Yeah.
And they end up getting, because at a certain point, zombies are falling through the glass window on top of the train.
Oh, yeah.
And it like pouring in, and it's very World War Z, although I think it's done more effectively here. So the sisters get separated at this point.
They're separated into like 3 different places now, right?
Yes.
So you've got the rich people compartment, you've got Sewon, the pregnant lady, and one of the sisters, right?
And the homeless man just barely gets on.
That's right. And they sort of pull him on.
Oh, right. He's with them.
Yeah,
and
Mister.
I think one of the sisters is with the baseball girl.
Yes.
Yeah, with the rich people.
Yes.
And then you see Mikey dad, father, and one of the baseball kids
finally lock the door.
It's actually a bunch of the baseball kids, right?
They're still at the door.
Yeah, they're at the door, but they're locking the top of it. And then they lock the top of it, and then almost immediately the glass breaks.
Yeah.
So they should have just, whatever.
And then like 4 of the baseball kids are running first.
Yeah, and they get attacked and just killed.
Yeah.
And then that's when the baseball, like the main baseball character kid is like just sitting there like, holy shit, what is happening to my friends? And then Sewon's dad is like, hey, idiot, get up, we gotta go.
Right.
And he picks him up and they run to the train.
And the train is moving, and this part was awesome because the train's moving really fast.
Yeah.
And they're running next to it, and they jump on, and baseball boy gets on, and then Sewon's dad gets on, and then weird Mikey dad gets on.
Oh, yeah.
But he takes a quick detour to pick up like a seat shield
and
a
you don't know
stabby
why.
weapon or something. I know.
It's like a baton.
I know. I
But you
thought
don't
he
know
was
why.
going to sacrifice himself
Me
at
too.
that point.
And then you
Yeah.
see him pick up like a riot shield and a baton.
Dude.
Because what you don't see is the zombies like running from the other side of the train. So he's got this like riot shield and just barrels into him and knocks him over. And then he gets on the train with the riot shield and baton.
Still wearing his adventure jacket.
He did all of that in business casual attire. He had a pocket square, he had a scarf. Like he did it all with a blazer pocket square scarf. Gets on the train after barreling through zombies. Looking like $1,000,000.
I have a lot of trouble with pocket squares.
Anyways, so now they're back on the train, and we kind of have a minute to reassess where everybody is.
Right. And this is where it sort of like lays the land that is currently like now going on. And you've got the rich cabin, and they're pretty much safe, right?
They are,
And you
yeah.
see them like using a fire extinguisher to like spray down the glass in between the cars so the zombies can't see them.
Right.
And then it shows, the dads, where the dads are with the baseball kid. And then they're sort of safe, but both cars on either side have zombies. And then we see the pregnant lady, Sewon, and one of the sisters.
And Mr. Homeless Man.
Yeah, and Mister. And they're like about to get eaten by a zombie because they just run into a bathroom and the zombies try and get them and they're like trying to close the door.
So, and now the conductor's saying we're not going to make any more stops. We're going straight to Busan.
We're going straight to Busan.
That was a terrible idea. Sorry.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Never trusting anyone again. And so this is when the girl and the baseball boy talk to each other. And
That's
they realize
right.
they're both still on the train,
That's right.
but they're separated. So she knows that he's still a factor in this too, which is going to be important in a little bit. This is when the daughter is calling the dad, and she's saying, get over here quick. We're stuck in compartment 13 bathroom.
Right. And they're in compartment 9.
Right.
Yeah.
And the wife is like, get the fuck over here. What are you doing? And I did say, like, let's move with some urgency because they're just kind of trying to make their plan because they see the zombies in the compartment that they were running to.
Yeah.
So they know they've got to get through those zombies to get to this people to save them. And Baseball Man has a really great plan.
I thought they were going to go on top of the train.
They don't have the budget for that.
So now Baseball Guy's got his plan, and so he's unwrapping his gear, and he's starting to they're wrapping their arms, and this is when they all start taking their jackets off because
Yeah.
they've been business casual all the way up here.
Yeah. It's about to get serious.
Serious.
Yeah.
it's really cool. And I love all three of these men in this movie. I think they're amazing.
They're great.
Yeah.
But they do wrap up their wrists and they're sort of like are deciding we're going to go save pregnant lady, Sewol, and the homeless guy or Mr. And we're going to have to go through cars of zombies to do that. So Mikey Dad is going to go first and he's got nothing but wrist wraps and fists of fury. And he's going first into these cars. And then
I love boxing, so this all fits.
I mean, that's why I thought it was you the whole time. Anyway, and then Sewon's dad has got the riot shield and he's next. And then the baseball kid's got a bat and he's holding up the rear, making sure no one comes from behind them. And is really the one who's, I think, sort of killing the zombies as they're getting knocked down.
Right.
Because as they're going through, Mikey Dad is just haymakering them down. And
he like ceiling slams one
I
of
know.
them, dude.
I literally looked at Mikey and said, this has become a superhero movie.
Yeah.
Because he becomes like super strength. It's awesome. But he is sort of jacked. Like when he takes that jacket off, I'm like, oh, he actually is pretty muscular. Because at first he looked just sort of like chunky.
Yeah.
But no, he's like
I relate
muscular
to this character
big.
a lot.
Yeah. Absolutely. So he's like just haymakering them left and right. And Sewon's dad is like pushing them with the riot shield. And then the bat guy is just beating their heads in. Yeah.
And it is awesome
It
and
is.
super intense because they're just plowing through this car full of zombies.
Yeah. The next car they go into is the one where it's the baseball kids, right? So the guy who was like super effective with the baseball bat, who's the baseball kid, is like frozen in fear of having to hurt his friends.
I wrote, oh no, it's his baseball team buddies. And then I wrote, dads take it. Because I think the dads both kind of look at each other and they're like, okay, we get it. Let's beat some
Yeah,
zombie
but then they
shit.
both get pinned down, and it's just this baseball kid who can save them, and he doesn't. I was so disappointed that they didn't have him
Like,
come
have
to
a moment.
action
Redeem
here.
himself.
Yeah.
I don't really think he needed redemption for it. It's just he never overcame his fear of his friends or having to hurt those who once were his friends.
I would love to fight a high school baseball team.
You heard that here? Let's do it. Any high school baseball team want to fight Mikey, you reach out to us. I'll be the MC for the event.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I think I could take down at least half.
Absolutely not.
What if they have baseball bats?
They're in shape. They have like 18-year-old strength. You're done for.
Also, why do you want to fight teenagers?
Kids today,
Oh,
but they're not like how
They
we
just-
were.
Always wearing their ascots wrong.
I mean, always on my lawn.
If I can I fight them one at a time and then like do them all in a row,
No.
like
No.
Dinkstown?
No, they're not just going
Like
to
a
wait for
riot?
you.
No, they come at you like zombies.
Okay, but do they have baseball bats?
I mean, you could run around the bases and fight each one in their
Less
positions.
cardio the better. We got to expend the energy on the fight.
Less cardio, the better.
I'm not
Should
going
be-
to run from them.
Guys, look out for Mikey's self-published novel, Less Cardio, the Better.
Well, I'm not going to
coming to Amazon
waste
near
my
you.
energy sprinting from the baseball team. I need to save the energy for the fight.
So I think what does play to their advantage here, not to get back to the movie, guys, is that they are like limited at the direction they can come in. So it's like 300, right? So they get to a very narrow passageway, and then you're taking on sort of one at a time, right?
Right.
So that does sort of play to their advantage. But they do realize as that kid is paralyzed in fear and both dads are in the corner being held down by zombies.
About to get bit.
As they go through a tunnel, that the zombies sort of lose all recognition of where they are and sort of what's going on, and they're able to sneak away.
All the zombies, their eyes change and they're like cloudy eyes. So like part of the zombie disease is cataracts.
Yeah.
So when it gets dark, they just can't see anybody
Absolutely.
anymore.
What did you say? They have low light.
I just said they have like low light vision. So in the dark, they can still hear and they will attack something that makes a sound.
Yeah.
But they cannot really see very well at all.
Because at this moment, this is when the baseballs all fall out, diverting their sound, and that's what allows them to leave the car to safety. Yeah.
And then when they're in that next sort of middle compartment before they go into the next car, that's when they develop a plan.
Right.
And that's when you see Sewon's dad look at the train schedule and see when they're going to go through a tunnel next.
Right. Yeah.
And he takes Mikey Dad's phone.
So now they get into the corridor, they wait for them to get into a tunnel, they slide the cell phone down, and then they call it and play the terrible ringer.
I did love, and Mikey brought up a good point, because they do walk deep into the car with the zombies, and then Sewon's dad grabs Mikey's dad's phone and like tosses it down. And Mikey was like, why don't you just drop it when you were walking in? Why are you making all this noise? I don't know. I thought it was funny.
But just
then,
wanted to look cool.
Yeah, and honestly, it does. And then he calls it, it makes the horrible ringtone noise. So like it plays Skibidi by Little Big, and then the zombies attack it, and then they just kind of pass through. But this is where they meet up with Mr. Sewol and the pregnant lady.
Right. And one of the sisters. Yeah.
Right.
And so then they come out of the tunnel, they go into the other bathroom across the aisle. And this is when they're giving each other dad shade, and he's saying, why do you have such a tacky ringer? And the dude's like, well, how do you change it?
Yeah.
And the kid makes fun of him. He's like, "Shut up, kid."
No, it is.
He
and it's
grabs
sweet.
the kid's ear. He's like, ah!
Right.
But it does seem like we have a nuclear family again.
Yeah.
Right,
So,
like they've kind of bonded through
Yeah.
going through this together.
Yeah.
So now the baseball girl gets a text from her friend.
yeah, because she's in like the rich 1%er compartment.
Right.
Oh,
and
yeah,
she's
yeah.
saying,
Yeah, yeah.
hey, it's okay, they're coming. And this is when Rich Man's like, no, they're not, because they're not me and I'm safe right now.
Right.
And we're not going to let them in because they might be infected. And you're starting to realize these people aren't going to let them into the safe compartment. And I understand where they're coming from because they have a moment of safety and they don't want to sacrifice it for strangers. I'm not saying it's okay. I can understand the logic behind what they're saying, but you shouldn't treat your fellow people like that.
Right. So the dads and the baseball kid pull Mr. Pregnant Lady, Sewol, and the sister out of the bathroom that they're in, and then they start crawling across the baggage like lofts up the car where all the zombies are.
Yes, and it is really cool. And I was like, that thing's not going to hold. Although I guess it has to hold a lot of baggage, you know.
Just like Mikey.
Yeah.
Aw.
Aw.
But so they're almost down, and they all start getting down from this baggage claim area. But then the whole Mister falls, and they hear him fall, but he hides between one of the seats. And then the dad goes on to the seat across from him to kind of
The
maybe
dad goes back
save
for him.
him.
This is
Yeah.
the first time the dad put somebody else in front of himself.
Who's
Yeah.
not his daughter.
Yeah, and he goes back to save Mister,
Right.
and then they
And then
come
they're
out of the tunnel, and then so
Mhm.
they just like vanish into the seats because then the zombies turn around and look all the directions, and they can't see anything because they're hiding. And so Suwon's dad is like, "All right, we're gonna go on 3. 1, 2, 3," and like on 3, Mister steps on a can.
Yeah, man.
And then
Orange Crush.
yeah, and it does.
And their dreams of escape. Are
Ah,
crushed.
yeah.
Yeah. And then they just run. And
Right.
Suwon's dad lets the homeless guy or Mister go first.
And they just barely make it because they get to the car where all the rich, safe people are. But this is when they realize that the door won't open. And we see kind of a pan away of like sheets tied together to barricade this door. And we
Yeah.
see them holding the baseball girl so that she can't warn him.
Yeah. There's like 2 cars in play here. There's the
Right.
rich 1%er car that they can't get in.
Safe car.
Yeah, there's
they're
the
not
safe
all
car.
rich. They're just safe
That's
people.
fair,
But the rich
yeah.
guy's in charge.
Right. And so there's a car in between that has no one but our like Scooby Gang there, right? And then we have the car,
Zombie car.
the zombie
Right.
car. Our Scooby Gang can't close the door between the zombie car and their car because they're like zombies in the door.
Right.
So you've got Mikey Dad doing his best Hodor impression while they're trying to get in the rich car. And then when Suwon's dad realizes that they're not going to be able to get in, he goes back to help Mikey Dad, and he like starts
Right.
hitting the zombies in the door with a bat.
Right.
And then Baseball Kid starts hitting the rich people's door with the bat too,
Right.
trying to
When-
get in.
And it all happens really, really fast.
Yeah.
But this is the point where Mikey Dad gets bit.
Yeah.
But he's not turned yet. And he's still like, I don't think he quite realizes yet.
Oh, I think you realize.
Yeah, he realizes he got bit and he's going to turn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he starts talking to Suwon's dad about it.
Right, yeah. But so baseball bat guy is finally beating down the door and he finally gets through and then he runs into the little corridor and gets his arm into the rich person.
Yes.
So there's still a doorway that they can close because he just smashed one of those doorways.
Right.
But now it's zombies with like arms and like heads through the door into our Scooby Gang cabin.
Right.
And then it's our Scooby Gang with arms through
Yes.
to the rich person's cabin.
And it's really cool how all of this
It
is
is.
playing out.
Yeah.
It's super
The
intense.
baseball girl sees her boy, and then also the sister sees her sister. And so they get up and
They start helping.
Yeah, they start helping. There's a scuffle in the safe cabin.
They power their way into the safe cabin.
Yeah.
As Dad and Mikey Dad are trying to close it. And this is when they have the conversation. And Sewon is walking out and the pregnant wife is walking up to her. And it's so sad.
Right,
And
the pregnant wife's walking towards her husband.
yeah.
Crying.
And-
right, crying because they think they all know.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, I'm going to sacrifice myself. And he's talking to Suwon's dad and saying, take her and get out.
Yeah.
I'm going to be Hodor.
Yeah,
at
like,
this
get
hey,
him to
point.
safety.
Hey,
Yeah.
asshole. I need you to go take care of my wife.
Exactly,
I need you
yeah.
to keep her safe.
Oh, and then he yells to her the baby's name, and it's so sad. And so Sikwoo, who is Suwon's dad,
Yeah.
says he's sorry, and then he lets go. And then Mikey Dad keeps yelling, and this is when he yells the baby's name, but he keeps fighting, and it's really sad when he changes, you know?
Man, but I love this because they do eventually break the door he's holding, and then he continues to punch them and like
He
hold them
does.
back as Sikwoo runs towards the door and gets the pregnant lady and his daughter to safety. And then you see sort of him turning.
Yeah.
And then eventually he just they just fall on top of him.
And it's like an avalanche, man.
Yeah.
Once he no longer is holding them back,
Yeah.
and I think you can kind of see like how much he had been holding so many zombies
He's
back.
like a superhero.
Okay, so now they are almost into safety, except one of the sisters is still not. She's letting everyone go before her.
Yeah.
And as she's smiling at her sister saying, hey, she gets zombied and pulled back in.
Yeah, I don't know that she's really making an effort to get in. I think she just realizes that this is the end for her because she's not going to make it.
Yeah.
But she sees her sister who's in safety and sort of smiles at her. And it's like, I'm glad you're safe.
I'm still mourning over my character's loss.
Yeah.
But he did, I did like him holding up
He
the
goes out
zombie.
like a boss. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's really sad. And so now they're in and they're safe, except the other sister didn't make it. And so now Seek Woo goes up and punches Rich Man in the face, saying, we could have saved all these people. This didn't need to be that big of a struggle. Fuck you.
Yeah, because they were holding people out for minutes.
Right.
You know, they could have easily let everyone in and it would have been fine.
Exactly. And so he says, he's a witch. Basically says,
He's infected. Yeah.
He's
Look
infected.
at his eyes. It's the anger in his eyes. It's the infection.
Exactly. There's no evidence at all, but believe me.
Yeah, I did love his part because he's like, well, everyone who wasn't in this car before, you have to go to a car that's further away from the zombies to isolate you guys, which seems like a dumb plan.
And it turns out to be a dumb plan.
A really dumb plan. Anyway, so our Scooby gang goes into that vestibule cabin or whatever, the one that's a little bit further away. But
plus baseball girl.
Yeah, plus baseball girl, right? So they pick up one to their party. And then as they get into that cabin and are safe, you see this other sister look over and see her sister who is now turned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the rich people cabin are now trying to blockade
both doors.
Well, no, they're only trying to blockade just our Scooby gang from being able to come back to them, and not the zombie cabin. It's so dumb.
They
Which
took
is
their eye
now
off
just
the ball.
one guy, one homeless guy, a kid who's in a baseball uniform, a teenage girl, a little girl, and a pregnant woman.
But they take their eye off the ball.
Absolutely.
Right.
And then the sister, who's still not a zombie, walks over and is like, this is bullshit. I'm just going to let these zombies in to kill us all.
This is a very questionable decision. And I know that cabin is full of dicks, but it's filled with a lot of scared people too.
Yeah,
And
it's
there's
a
lot of
horrible
women. There's a lot of
decisions.
women
Yeah.
and children and stuff.
She's a murderer. Yeah, absolutely.
But I think really, like, this is just karma because if they had let them in to begin with, this wouldn't have happened because they all would have been able to get on board.
Well, Mikey Dad would have still died.
So, I mean, you could look at it as a very questionable decision, but I kind of look at it as like your karma coming back to get you because she goes and opens the door and the zombies just pile in and we don't even see it. We just see the blood hitting the like fogged out glass.
Yeah, where our Scooby gang is now.
Right.
I thought it was
did
hilarious.
Too. And I was not expecting it.
I
think
wasn't
I
expecting it.
It's really just the rich guy who's the only bad person in that cabin. She kills like 20 other probably decent people.
Yeah, I can't make it off without breaking a few heads.
Well, but they all helped barricade that door.
I know that's true.
And there was
but
only one person who wanted to let the survivors in.
Yeah.
So now we have the touching scene between the dad and the daughter, and it's really sweet. And having a daughter who's roughly this age, like when he was like holding her finger and then taking her hand, and you see how small her hand is.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's saying it's her birthday, and he's going to take her to her mom no matter what. And they're talking about both being scared. And she says she thought she'd never see him again, and she practiced this song just for him. And that's why she couldn't sing it because he wasn't there. And it's just such a touching moment. And she's saying, will you stay with me? And he does. Well, and then we immediately see him leave and go call the mom.
yeah.
So they don't stay together very long, but it is a very touching scene. And I think we can see like this is kind of part of his arc is learning to like really be emotionally available to his daughter. And so then he does call the mom and it's unavailable, but he gets a call from analyst Kim, who's his subordinate that we saw at the beginning. He's saying something about Busan succeeds to primary defense, which I think is like saying Busan is safe.
Yes, because he's like, are you sure? Is that confirmed? Yeah.
Exactly. And he's like, well, I don't care about that because this whole problem was started by Biotech, which was the company in the centerpiece of their plan.
Yeah.
And I'm not exactly sure how this all plays out. I think there's some kind of corporate corruption thing to it that I don't quite understand, but they're asking if it's their fault that all of this happened. And they both feel guilty. So now we get the train jerking and we see that there's a smoky wreck on the track. So they can't go any further. So they're kind of at a standstill, but they're not at Busan yet.
But they're sort of at a train station
Yeah,
close
they're
to
at a train
Busan.
station.
Yeah.
They are, yeah, where there are lots of trains around.
Right.
found.
Right.
So conductor, best man in the movie, gets on the blower and he says, due to a track blockage, we got to get off and find another station. I'm going to go find us another working train. You guys stay here and then come to the train that I find.
It'll be on the furthest left track or whatever.
Right.
Whatever he says there.
He's fucking amazing.
I mean, periodically this movie is cut to him driving the train. He's like sweating, but like now he's like, I'm gonna go get another train for
He is
whoever's
a
left.
conductor of action.
yeah, I mean, I don't think he even knew what the violence was until they get to that first stop. And he's like, oh, okay.
He gets on the intercom and he's like, if there's any survivors, come follow me.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to go try to save you guys even
Yeah.
if there is no one left. Yeah.
He's running to go find another train, but this is when it cuts to the rich guy and the train attendant. And the rich guy's looking at the bathroom they're in and sees a zombie like right there.
Right.
And then he closes the door and the train attendant goes, is it safe? And he goes, yeah, it's clear.
Yeah.
Why don't you go
You
first?
go first.
And he's like, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And then as he opens the door, there's a zombie right there. And then rich dude pushes him into the zombie
Yeah.
and then runs out as they all attack that train conductor.
Oh,
or
he's
the,
an asshole.
The train attendant. Yeah, he's a huge asshole. And then now begins the let's run to the train that the conductor's setting up for us.
Right.
And we see the rich guy running to find them.
Yeah.
But during this, we're also seeing our Scooby Gang sort of get off the train and try and find a way to the furthest left track. I
Right.
think it's the left track, or just to the train that the conductor is setting up for them.
Right. And after the rich man pushed the train attendant to his certain death, he also let all of the zombies out because
Yeah,
he
'cause he
didn't
didn't close the door like
behind
an
him.
idiot.
Yeah,
He's
he's
the
an
worst.
asshole.
I want to kill him with my hands.
And so now, train conductor has found a train that's working and not blocked and not zombie filled, but not so fast. There's a fire train coming
Oh,
for them.
God, yeah.
Yeah. And so
A train on fire, not a train that fights fires.
It's Diesel, but Diesel's on fire coming into the station hot.
Diesel 10 is the bad guy.
Yeah.
The baseball couple sees the train, and then there's like a big fire train wreck, and it's really cool. And the train seems to fall on our Scooby Gang.
Except for the baseball couple.
Exactly.
And they're
And-
like, oh my God.
Yeah, they start crying.
Everyone is dead except for us.
Right.
And I think this is sort of maybe a little bit of the redemption moment for the baseball guy.
Yeah, he's like, get up,
Because
idiot.
we got to keep moving. We got to keep moving. And he has
Right.
been frozen by fear a few times in the movie. So I think maybe this is his redemption moment or his arc.
And so they get on the train, they find a train, but not so fast because now evil rich man is on there too. And he pushes baseball girl back and she gets bit by zombies immediately. And then he breaks the glass and goes out. So now they're not trapped by that train wreck anymore. And baseball couple, he sees that she's been bitten and he's just holding her and crying. And then she dies and then immediately bites him. And it's so
Yeah,
sad.
and he does.
Ugh.
Yeah, so the baseball couple's out now, just like the Notebook. Murder, suicide.
I do not sign on to that ending of the Notebook. I just want to go on record.
It's canon.
Yeah, it's fact.
So now the rich man is on the track, and we see the dad waking up, and we see that they are trapped in a little pocket because the train did not crush them, but it trapped them in like a tilty
Yeah,
train
like one
trap.
train is leaning against another train,
Right.
and they are underneath the leaning over train.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
right on top of them is glass, barely holding back tons
Yeah.
of zombies.
They're like beating on the glass
it's-
inches from their face.
So they're trapped there. Now, rich man is running towards the conductor, and the conductor is trying to get onto the train.
No, the conductor's on the train, and the
Oh,
train
that's
starts
right.
to move. Yeah. And then the conductor sees the rich guy, and the rich guy rolls his ankle and is about to get eaten by zombies. And the conductor, who is awesome,
I know.
gets off the train as it's moving, goes and gets that guy up, and then the rich guy pushes him into the zombies, and he continues to
Yeah.
run.
And that was it.
As the conductor gets destroyed. I was so mad.
Because if he had just not gotten up and helped him.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's a good person. He wanted to help.
He's a
you
great
know?
person.
I think if you would have known all the things that the rich guy does, he wouldn't have got off the train.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking. Like the two terrible things the rich person did, nobody knows about those because everybody involved in them died.
That's
you know?
true.
So like our Sewol's dad doesn't know that happened.
But our Scooby Gang does know that he's an asshole.
But they don't know quite the magnitude of his assholery. So
Exactly.
He's an 8.5 on the rectum scale.
the rectum scale. Oh my
That
god.
needs to be canon. Like I want to use that.
On the rectum
Oh
scale.
man, how big of an asshole is he? He's like an 8.5 on the rectum scale.
So now our Scooby Gang is still trapped under this train.
Right, but
They're in-
Siku, or I might be saying his name wrong and I feel bad, but Suwon's dad finds a way out. So he just kind of gets
There's like
out.
a little hole spot.
Yeah.
But then there's more train explosion stuff, and
Yeah.
so now the hole's not quite as big. So
well,
he's-
no, like a fuel tank or something falls and blocks the hole that he just got out of.
and he's got to like muscle it out, you know. And while he's doing that, the glass is about to break, and this is when Mister decides to Hodor and goes off down to where the zombies have just broken through the glass, allowing Sewon and the pregnant lady to escape.
Yeah, because Sewon's dad just pulled the fuel tank or whatever was blocking the path, so the path is now open again so they can squeeze through, but Mr. is holding them like Hodor. And then as the pregnant lady and Sewon get away, all the glass breaks, and instead of holding back 3 zombies, he just gets sort of overtaken by probably 30.
But then the train falls anyway and kills everybody.
Right.
Oh, I guess that's true, yeah, but he was going to die either way.
Yeah.
So now they are just booking it away from like a billion zombies. And so he's carrying Sewon away from a bunch of zombies. And this is kind of an extended thing, but it's so intense because we see like how many of them there are.
It's insane.
It's a cool
I know,
shot.
It is a very
really
cool shot because
is.
it's like way up high. It's like a drone shot.
And it doesn't look CGI at all. They all
I
look
don't think
real.
it is. It looks very good. But they all were running towards and getting on the train, and then these zombies start grabbing the back of the train as it starts to go faster and faster away.
This part was
And
super
then
cool.
These zombies that are just getting to the train start grabbing the zombies that are holding onto the train, and then it becomes like this,
Like a carpet.
yeah, like a carpet holding onto a train of zombie
They act
bodies.
like ants.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's sort of World War Z in that sense.
It is,
Because
except
there's
I
a
think it
lot of
looks
that
better.
movement.
It does look better because World War Z was a little goofy.
yeah.
Well, and there's a point where one of the zombies who's in front trips, and they all start like
Yeah.
avalanching
Well, I think
over
that's why
each
they were
other.
able to actually get there
I think
before
so,
the
too.
zombies got them, because the zombies fucked up and rolled their ankles.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. You see the conductor now as a zombie run over to the zombie that rolled their ankle and help him up like an idiot.
And then he gets run over by like a train or something. So now they're all on, and there's this like magic carpet zombie ride coming after them. And so the dad like climbs down and starts kicking the shit out of these zombies.
Yeah, like crushing their hands. And I honestly felt bad for the extras in that scene who were just like hands getting stomped on by this dude, because it looks real good. It looks
It
like he's
does.
just crushing their hands. And they eventually do let go, and they're safe.
Yeah, so now they're on the outside walkway of this engine, and now they're rushing to safety. But not so fast, because now they go to the driver part.
The conductor part, yes.
and-
The
but it-
cockpit.
The cockpit.
There you go.
Is that what it's called?
I just wanted to hear Jen say cock.
Jeez.
Yeah,
We got her, boys.
Can you edit that out and send it?
Wrap it up, boys.
Well, but so not so fast. It's not conductor. It's evil
No.
rich man who's
Yes.
now almost zombie evil rich man.
Time out. This is where I need to talk because this is where
Are you Zach Morris?
I'm not abiding by Zach Morris
It's an
timeout
old reference,
rules.
sir, but it checks out.
Mr. is coming out, and we can tell that he's infected, but he's not quite a zombie yet. And he's
Mr.?
saying, zombie. What he's saying is, Mr., please help me. He's not talking to the homeless man. He's talking to Sewon's dad. And he's saying, take me home. My mom is waiting for me. My address is something, something, Busan, which I think now we understand why he wanted to get to Busan so
Yeah, it's like his
badly, 'cause
hometown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's saying, please help me.
He's like, I live with my mom and I'm really
I
scared.
think
Will
he's
you
just
take me there?
reverting to like a childlike state.
Yeah, so he's
Right.
got zombie glassed eyes and he's like talking like that, but you can tell he's super infected. So this is where I have a problem with the movie. All the decisions in this movie have been pretty realistic up until this point of like what the characters would do in that moment. He's super infected. He should have just thrown him off the train immediately.
Yeah, Sewon's dad should have thrown him off the train immediately.
Immediately. I am okay with what happens to the dad with him dying. I just don't like the way they did it. Like either he throws him off then and he grabs him and like kind of takes him with him or something, or he kind of does it like Mikey Dad does it, because I hate that he just doesn't throw off the train immediately.
Yeah.
Any one of us would have thrown him off the train immediately.
Yeah.
Like I'm cool with him dying. I think that's a good choice. I just didn't like how they set it up.
I would have gone up to him and been like, it's okay, man. We'll get you to Busan. It's fine. We'll get you there. We'll get you back to your mom. And then just shoved him off the train.
Yeah.
But what I love about the fact that he doesn't is we get to this moment where he realizes that he is infected, and he is one of the people that he has been hating so much in this movie. And it's kind of this allegory that I feel like most people who oppress people of other races like wouldn't last a day in the shoes of someone else. And I love that we get to have that moment because he's so horrified, and he's like, me? I can't be infected. This can't happen to me. And then he's a zombie, and we have the Morpheus-Neo fight on the train.
I mean, it really is just the zombie attacking Sequel. And
Right.
then, Sequel getting bit, and then getting the rich asshole zombie now off the train, and then him rushing the pregnant lady and his daughter into the conductor station of the train, or the cockpit, as Jen likes to call it. And then
Instead of grabbing him and like pulling him back, he just puts his hand over the guy's mouth and takes the bite.
yeah, I really didn't like the way he got
No.
bit either.
I
Yeah.
did too. I felt like it was like, don't grab him like that.
I feel like it just kind of shoehorned it.
Well, so he's grabbing him, and I think he realizes he's gotten bit. So he wraps himself in a chain, and then he throws them both off the train. But because he's got the chain wrapped around him, he gets pulled back onto the train. So he's now safe.
Safe in so much as that he's about to get
Right.
turned, but he's
Exactly.
not dead off the side of the train. Yeah.
Right. And so he pulls them in. He shows pregnant lady how to work the train. And then he has the saddest talk with his daughter ever. And she's crying and she is just amazing in this scene.
Yeah, she is so good.
Oh my God. Because she's crying and he's saying, don't leave me, don't leave me, don't leave me. And she's saying, oh, it's my fault, and keep holding onto his arm. And they don't really have a whole lot to say, but he says, stay with her no matter what. And they don't say, I love you, which is kind of something you've brought up. I'm
You
sorry.
can clearly see that they do, but they don't say it. That is sort of weird.
But it's so sad. And the part where he has to pry her hand off of her arm was when I started crying.
Yeah,
It
he
might
has
make
to
me cry
run off
now.
the train.
His
so
goodbye words are a little.
Well, but I mean, that might be a cultural thing.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah. But
Because it's
oh my
clear that they
God.
love each other. Like, that's
Right,
not
right.
up for debate. He just doesn't say it.
But it's
Right.
so sad. And
Yeah.
she's screaming and saying, please don't go. And so now Sewol goes and hugs and cries with the pregnant lady. And he walks to the back of the train. And his eyes are kind of starting to get a little glassy. And it's so sad. We still hear her like screaming and crying. And then he closes his eyes and he sees the first time he held her when she was a little baby, and like her little feet and her eyes. And we hear her screaming and crying while all of this is happening. And then we see his shadow just fall off the back of the
And he
train.
was smiling,
I really like the way that they did him falling off the train.
It's so sad. I could probably start crying right now
Yeah.
if I really thought about it, because it's so just touching, you know? And I'm glad that he was able to, like, those were his final moments, you know?
Yeah, he had some good final moments.
Oh,
And he's a hero.
so
He
sad.
literally saved the pregnant lady and his daughter.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now they're still on the train and just kind of sitting with what's happened. And then they get to a flaming blockade, which is a smoky tunnel. And so they get off the train and they start walking through it. And so then we see the barrel of a gun, and it pans out and we see that it's a military man. And they see them walking with their binoculars, but they say, okay, we see two bogeys, but they can't tell if they're infected yet. And so they say, what do we do? And they get orders to kill them. So he's about to pull the trigger, and then we hear her singing that song.
From the recital.
Yeah, the recital song, yeah.
And she's like crying while she's saying
And she's doing a great job
she's
singing
killing
it.
it.
Yeah.
this time.
Oh my God.
She's such a good little actress, man. She's
She
amazing.
is. Well, and so she's singing this song, and they say, oh, survivors are coming. And so now it's going to make me cry. And so now everybody is running to come save them. And we see her streaming face, and she's singing that song. And the last words are, until we meet again,
Yeah.
too. And that's the movie.
And that's
Yeah.
the movie. It's super
So
sad.
good.
Yeah.
So having talked about the movie, and this is the first time we all saw it, what do you think about it?
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, it's the best zombie movie we've ever done.
Well, we've only done 2.
Right. It's better than 28
We've done
Days
3.
Later.
We did Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, yeah. No, we've done 3.
Oh,
yeah. So
it's way better than Dawn of the
It's
Dead.
way better than Dawn of the Dead. It's a little bit better than 28 Days Later.
I don't know. I
the
think I
best.
still
28
prefer
Days
28
Later is
Days
still
Later.
pretty good,
Ugh.
too.
But I mean, it's like neck and neck.
No,
and
this
this
is by
one,
far the best.
We
This-
have spoiled you because most zombie movies are not good.
That's true.
Fair enough. I mean, but I mean, I like this movie. It's not that scary. It's more, to me, it seems more like an action movie
Yeah.
than a horror film. Although I will not question whether it's a horror film or
Right.
not. It just has more of an action movie vibe than like a scary vibe.
And I
Yeah.
feel a lot of zombie films are like that.
Okay, maybe that's fair. I haven't really
Yeah.
seen a lot, so.
I loved it too. Like, I think I would still put 28 Days Later on top just because of the Cillian Murphy factor.
Right,
But
because
I-
it's like a thirsty Jen movie.
Yeah.
This
True.
isn't a thirsty Jen movie.
Although I will say that Dad could get it.
Yeah, I mean, he's a handsome man.
I mean, yeah.
I know I usually hate all the movies we do, but I love this movie.
I did too.
I think
And
it's great.
I love action movies too. So this was
Yeah,
like a really
same.
good combination. But it's got a lot of heart. And if I look at like World War Z, which we've compared this to a lot, I feel like this one has a more believable family dynamic and a lot
yeah.
more just heart to it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, the emotions hit harder than most dramas I see in
Uh-huh.
this movie. And then, like, yeah, the guy having to say goodbye to his daughter, and then oh my god,
Fuck, yeah, it's
And, like,
so
Luke-
sad.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so let's talk box office about this movie because I think it's our first movie we've done from South Korea.
Uh-huh.
Well, what do you guys think the budget was?
It probably had to be pretty high.
10 million?
I would say 15.
Okay, so I mean, like, I don't really know like foreign films how to gauge that,
Right.
You know, because it does look great. It's not a single location movie, although it takes place a lot on a train. But
Right.
it
But
was.
it goes to several locations.
It does, yeah, and some of those sets are huge.
Yeah.
Like those train station sets are huge. Anyway, so it was $8.5 million.
Wow.
So it was a pretty decent sized budget. Although I don't know if that's like a huge budget for South Korean
Yeah.
films or if that's sort of moderate, like it would be in America.
If
I honestly don't
everyone
know.
could do as much with $10 million as that film did.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, focus on your writing.
Yeah.
That'll help you out a lot.
That's really the strength in this movie is the writing. How much do you guys think it made at the box office?
I think I know.
Internationally or just in South Korea?
All over.
Like 120?
Ooh, that's a good guess.
I think it's around 100, a little over 100.
It differs based upon the source you're looking at. I saw one source that said 87.5 million and one that said 98.4 million.
Okay.
So
Nice.
it's either way super close to 100 million.
I do know that it is the 6th highest grossing South Korean film, domestic grossing of all time.
Wow. Okay, that's awesome.
It actually set a record for the first Korean film to break the audience record of 10 million people.
Wow.
And I think it had the highest single day ticket sales record also.
That's awesome. I remember when this came out, my friends Lee and Whitney Green, who do the Weird Robot podcast, told me I needed to see it, that I would love it. And I was like, I'm never going to watch it. It's a zombie movie. And they both told me that it is very zombie heavy, but it's just a straight up good movie. And this is like 2 years ago. So, I mean, I do know that it made sort of a splash even here in the States when it first came out. But that's box office. Jen, do you have some fun facts for us?
I do.
Hit us with your fun facts.
Ooh.
So Yu Gong and Yu Mi Jung, I think I'm saying that
Sorry
right.
if we butcher names.
Yeah,
It's not
really
our intention.
apologize.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Suwon's dad and the pregnant lady.
Okay.
I think they were in another movie together that was called The Silence, which sounds really good, but it also sounds really, really dark. So check it
Okay.
out if you like that kind of stuff. But they got a lot of acclaim for both of those roles. I already talked about the article that I'm going to link, but there's a lot of social commentary about South Korea and the class structure there that I thought was really interesting, but I don't want to speak for another culture that I don't really understand that well. So make sure you check that article out and I will link it.
Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes.
So one thing that I found when I was reading this is in 2014, there was something called the Sewol ferry disaster. And it was, did you hear about that?
Yeah.
Oh, it was really sad. I don't think I'd heard about it, but it was a ferry that capsized, a South Korean ferry capsized. 304 passengers died, 172 were rescued. But of those 304, 254 were high school students.
It was like one
man.
high school.
Oh, it was terrible.
And they were like texting
Holy
on the way down.
crap.
It was real bad.
Oh,
Well,
man.
And so I think where some of this plays into this movie was it was seen to be human error based on negligence and greed. And they had like overloaded this ferry by like 3 times the amount of weight.
Oh,
they
man.
had cut corners on like tying things down so that when it made sharp turns, it was more likely to capsize. The crew member who was there was not fully trained when he was driving the ship.
And I think the captain did some bad stuff. Like a lot of that senior class got killed.
It was
Real bad.
awful. Well, because the crew were not trained in safety procedures. The captain wasn't even on the deck when it happened. And so they told everybody to stay in their cabins. Everything's fine. Stay in your cabins. We'll take care of it. As the captain and crew got off in the lifeboats and didn't rescue the passengers.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. Yeah.
Holy shit.
So that's where a lot of this like not trusting authority and like giving false information, I think, was
What?
kind of coming from in this movie. The captain was sentenced to 36 years in prison.
Oh, wow. Sorry, that's not enough.
I agree. Well, the chief engineer was found guilty of murder, and I think he got around 30 years, but 13 other crew members were also convicted. But it was kind of like one of those Chernobyl things where
Yeah.
it's like a lot of negligence and nobody intended for this disaster to happen. But when you don't take your responsibility seriously and you don't value the lives of the people you're in charge of, like these terrible disasters happen.
yeah.
So I think after I was reading that, a lot of this, I can see the dynamics play out in this movie because that was in 2014 and this came out in 2016. So it had to have been on their minds, you know? So there is a sequel coming.
Really?
Yep. It's set to release in 2020. I think that's going to be in South Korea, and I don't know if there's a release date anywhere else yet, but it's going to be called Bondo, and that translates to peninsula.
Okay.
So, but it's going to be a new cast, and I don't know if the daughter.
I'd like that. I would like a full new cast.
Right.
I
just
wouldn't
kind of.
hate seeing the pregnant lady and the daughter in it, though.
Right. I would
And
like
the
that
baby,
too.
It'd be, yeah. I mean, it'd be nice, I guess.
Well, and they haven't started filming yet, so I'm not sure how much of that has been developed.
Right.
But so that's coming, and we are going to get an English remake of this from James Wan. He's producing it, and Gary Dauberman is writing, and he also wrote It Chapters 1 and Chapters 2.
Oh, interesting.
So, I mean, I don't necessarily think you need an English remake of this movie, but I mean, you know, if they do it well, those are my fun facts.
Well, thank you for your fun facts, Jen.
Well, you're welcome.
So let's do the scary scale, Jen.
Hey, listeners, our scary scale is a scale we use to rank how scared we were by the movie. It's not a ranking of the quality of the movie, and I want to stress that because I think we would all rank the quality of this movie very high.
Oh, yeah.
It's how scared we were when we watched it today. Our 1 example is Ghostbusters. Our 10 example is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. All right, Todd, what you got?
I'm going to say 3.
3.
There were some eerie moments and some creepy moments. It wasn't scary, though. And I do think everyone should see this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's definitely one you need to see.
It is really good.
I'm going to give it a 1.
Yeah,
All
because
right.
you're dead inside.
Yeah, because I'm dead inside.
I mean, but would you say it's a movie people should see?
Oh, I absolutely. If you're a fan of,
Good movies.
yeah, I think it transcends horror.
Yeah,
I think it's
it
a
does.
really great film.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 5.
A lot of kids in danger here.
Yeah, and
Yep.
being pregnant and in danger. But yeah, so like when kids are in danger or when like, it just made me remember when I was pregnant and like your mobility is so limited and so, But it's also, there's like creepy zombies and it's very tense the whole
It
time.
is very,
It
very
is
tense.
very
yeah.
tense.
Mhm. All right, and that's our scary scale.
So this week, the listeners made me watch Train to Busan. What
Yep.
are you guys making me watch next week?
We're kicking Women in Horror Month off with The Silence of the Lambs, and I'm so excited.
Yeah, I watched the trailer for this, and I'm very confused.
Yeah, we found out Todd has no clue what is going to happen
gonna
in
be
this
so
movie.
funny.
I know, I'm really excited.
I mean,
to watch
I
it
was
with you.
just surprised that in the trailer for this, because I watched it for the Patreon, that Anthony Hopkins is in jail at the beginning of it, and I thought the whole movie was about them catching him.
I
Oh my
can't
God.
believe that 1, you've never seen this film.
Yeah.
And 2, that like it's never
You
been
don't know what
spoiled.
happened.
Yeah.
He started talking about it, and both of us just looked at him with like glee in our eyes. It was like, oh my gosh,
Well,
this is gonna
because
be
I laid
amazing.
out what I think the plot was, and I'll just quickly do that now. Anthony Hopkins is in jail at the beginning because they spoiled that in the trailer, and then he breaks out because you see him like handcuffing one of the cops in the trailer, and then they have to find him over the course of the movie. Is that not it?
Listeners, I am so
I'm not
excited.
gonna spoil anything.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I have no idea, but I really have no
I'm
idea.
excited. That'll be fun. That'll be fun.
All right, well,
Yeah,
that'll
it'll
be
be
next
fun.
week, guys. Make sure you watch Silence of the Lambs if you haven't already. I know, like it puts the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again. Like I know that.
But you have no context
no
for any
idea.
of it.
I have no
That's the
context
best. You've
of
like
that.
taken little snippets.
Well,
Because
it's
like
just-
some of the movies you haven't seen, you basically know what happens.
Yeah. But not Silence of the Lambs. I apparently have no idea and am way off based upon your reactions.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
All right, well, guys, watch Silence of the Lambs for next week. All right, guys, time has come for a 5-star review. If you guys want us to read your 5-star review, make sure to leave us a 5-star review and have Mikey read it for you. Mikey, do you have a review for us this week?
So Lord J. Kirby
I love that name.
I do too.
write us a review entitled "I Cannot Get Enough."
Oh,
They say, "I wish I could remember who pointed me to the horror virgin,
oh.
so I could thank them profusely.
Nice.
Whether Todd is terrified by a film or thinks it's the dumbest movie ever,
Which means he was really terrified.
That's what that means. Yeah.
it is always fun.
Oh,
The hosts rarely completely agree with each other
that's true.
on the horror scale or general creative value of the movies or anything else, keeping it from being a gush fest. The fun I have with them has ended my subscription to another horror movie
No.
podcast.
Ooh, let's
That can
speculate wildly about what that one is.
That can sometimes
Ugh.
become a real downer.
Sorry about that, other podcast. Guys, you're allowed to listen to multiple podcasts.
You are,
So,
yeah.
They say the House 2 episode was so good.
It was. Check it out, guys.
I had to go to Patreon and join them. Oh, and join. They don't use a lot of commas in this. I had to go to Patreon and join, then to iTunes and leave 5-star review.
Aw.
Well, thank you so much for doing both.
Thank you for the laughs and keep it up. 5 stars.
Thank you so much.
And let me say, that House 2 episode is, you just have to listen.
It is a banger.
I don't think I've ever laughed that hard.
It is bonkers.
I cannot wait to show you more movies like that.
Oh my God. It was so good. Oh, well, thank you so much for leaving us a 5-star review. And if you guys would like Mikey to read your 5-star review, go to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review. Guys, we remember the Consequence Podcast Network.
Yes,
so if
we
you want
are.
to check out one of their awesome shows, they have many of them.
Yeah, The Opus.
Yeah, this must be the gig. Who I love that podcast. I've listened to many, many episodes of it. It's awesome.
Yeah. We also got Kyle Meredith with and The Fifth Dimension. And you can also find me guesting. I'm going to do a guest spot on the Losers Club podcast that's coming up, talking about The Outsider. So make sure you
Nice.
check that out.
That's
I think
so
it's
cool.
actually out now as this episode is dropping.
Well, cool. Check that out
So-
on the Losers
Hey,
podcast.
Future Jen.
Yeah.
Losers Club.
Losers Club podcast.
Sorry.
Oh. Yeah, so check out the website Consequence of Sound too. They've got a lot of awesome articles. That run
both movie
constantly.
and music related. And guys, if you want to check out us online, go to horrorvirgin.com where you can read our blog and the link to the merch store there. And if you want to follow us on social, it's at horrorvirgin. Mikey is at mrandolph24. Jen is at Jenn Ferratu with 2 N's. And
That's
I'm at
right.
Todd J. Awesome. And if you want to help financially support the show, please do by going to patreon.com/horrorvirgin and signing up for one of our awesome levels there. A lot of great perks, a lot of great levels. Check it
Yeah.
out and
New
help
bonus
support the show.
episodes.
Yeah, bonus episodes bi-weekly, and honestly, just some bonus content that we drop in randomly as we get it done. Sorry, we all still have like full-time jobs. and-
Right.
So sorry, we're doing as much as we can. But the
Yeah.
new bonus episodes are every other week, and that's going to be a regular thing. And the bonus content that we're going to drop in isn't going to have a regular cadence, but it will be pretty frequent.
Yeah.
And if you can't afford to financially support the show or just want to hang out with us for the very, very low cost of free, join the Facebook family. So, and that's a place where we all hang out with as a community and we all talk, and it's daily free content, man. It's awesome. Check it out.
Yeah, it is really cool. Yeah. Hey, guys, that's going to be it from
Yeah.
us. This was so much fun. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, guys, thanks.
Listeners, thank you for requesting this movie.
Yeah,
We
really.
all were really
This
excited.
is my favorite listener request we've ever done.
Oh,
yeah.
well done, guys.
Aw.
Yeah.
I think it's the only one I've liked.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I'm Jen.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your horror virgin, Todd, guys.
Have a great week.
Bye. Train nerds.
Alexa, punish the children.
Consequence Podcast Network.